Well, it's been about 3 weeks since we've been to our new land that we bought here in Pennsylvania. I'm back today to do a little scouting for the upcoming whitetail season. It's mid-September. Normally I would have done a lot of scouting by now, but we've been on the road most of the year. We're home now. Got this new land, which is really exciting. It's the first time in a while I've had some land of my own, of our own, that we could hunt and manage. It's a really cool place. It's bordered by state land on two sides. Lots of bears here, some deer sign, turkey sign. Just a great little piece of habitat with a little creek running through it and a wetland. I'm pretty excited. There's an old logging road that runs along one edge of the property here. So I'm going to use that to traverse the property and do some scouting. My mission today is to find a couple places to build ground blinds and perhaps put up a tree stand. And mostly I'm looking for places where there's topography that's going to funnel deer movement, a pinch point, a saddle, something like that that's going to funnel deer movement so that I could get close enough shots with a longbow or a recurve. I'm also going to be looking for food. Most of the trees on the property are chestnut oak, white oak, or red oak. It doesn't seem like they're dropping acorns at the moment, but I'm going to look around. It would be great to find one or two trees that were really dropping, and I could focus on that as a food source. So we're going to walk down through here on this old logging road and look for tracks and look for sign. What the heck? Here's a muddy spot right here in the road. Look at that. There's a bear track right there. Small bear, but a bear track. And two deer tracks. That's pretty nice. Right off the bat, a bear and a deer. And in fact, now that I'm standing here, I look. This logging road is intersected by a trail. And you can see a trail running up over the bank there. And I can see overturned leaves. It's been used recently. Pretty cool. Nice start to the morning. It's mid-September and deer have shed their velvet within the last couple of weeks. So one of the things I'm looking for here on this scouting mission are fresh rubs from this fall. And just came upon this guy right here. In general, you can usually tell the size of the buck by the size of the rub. It's not 100%, but this is a sort of a medium-sized rub. I can see some deep tine marks in it. So it was probably made by a pretty good buck, maybe a 2 or a 3-year-old deer. Hard to say for sure, but it's a good sign nonetheless. Our property has a small stream running through it, which feeds into a larger trout stream that's a tributary to the west branch of the Susquehanna River. I've actually never been to it. We just bought this piece of property, so this scouting mission is also a bit of an exploration mission. I can hear the creek running down this valley right here. I'm going to keep on going and see if I can get down to the creek from here. I don't know if I have time to get the whole way. It's a pretty good hoof down there, but I can hear it, so it must be doable. I'm going to give it a try. Another thing that I'm watching for as I go here is elk sign. We are within the region in Pennsylvania where there's a substantial herd of elk. I don't know of anyone ever seeing elk on this piece of property that we purchased, but certainly there are a lot of elk nearby. We've seen them many times. So we're going to keep our eye out for elk sign and maybe even an elk. What's that? Oh, it's like a cool old bottle. Huh. Too bad it's broken. Down here in this stream bottom, I just found this cool bottle, which looked like it's a cork style bottle. Must have had a rather large cork. Probably maybe a whiskey bottle or some sort of medicine bottle. I'm just going to put it off to the side here and maybe somebody else will discover it someday, 100 years from now. I thought where there's one piece of treasure, there's likely to be more, so I started looking around, found another bottle. This one almost certainly a whiskey bottle or some sort of booze bottle. Again, unfortunately, it's broken, but we'll put it with the other one. That's beautiful in here. Really pretty, but I think I might have been faked out by the sound of the creek. I thought it was the bigger trout stream down in the bottom that I was hearing, but But as I drop down and down, drop off gets steeper, and the creek that I'm following was underground for a bit. Now it's resurfaced and it's flowing pretty fast. And so I can see it down below me and I can hear it. So I think that was what I was hearing, not the bigger creek. All right, I'm down to the point where we've got the faster flowing water that I could hear. And I can also see, I can just tell by the light ahead of us that we're almost down to the bigger creek too. So maybe we can do it after all. Let's see if we can get down here. This is a little bit hairy. Boy, looks like a good place for wood rats, or maybe a small bear, or even a rattlesnake. Wow, so pretty in here. Prop roots are one of my favorite and coolest things, I think, that you can find in the forest. In this case, we've got a black birch tree where a seed germinated on the top of an old stump of some sort, maybe a hemlock, maybe a white pine, and then began to grow. And the roots couldn't really penetrate the stump, but eventually worked their way down around the sides of the stump like lots of little octopus legs and propped the tree up. That's why they're called prop roots. Pretty cool, eh? Signs of browsing are one of the things that I look for whenever I'm scouting. And some of the timber was taken off of this property a few years ago, and there are some stump sprouts. This is a red oak right here, and you can see how all the stump sprouts have been nipped off on top. It's always nice to find a little snack when you're out and about. This hillside has a good stand of tea berries growing on it. Not an especially good one. I love tea berries. They're they put you in mind of birch beer, root beer, sassafras maybe. A little bit of a minty flavor, but also sweet. I just came along another example of prop roots that I just couldn't pass up. This time it looks like a hemlock seed germinated on the stump of probably another hemlock, or it might be a white pine. I'm down in this creek bottom and there's a lot of big old hemlocks in here that either fell over and died naturally, or they may have been cut a century ago. You can see how that hemlock germinated and started to grow on this stump. And then because the roots couldn't penetrate the stump, they began to grow out over the edge and form props. Look at that. Look how this root comes out, stretches all the way down, and then just becomes part of the old stump. I just love all the fascinating things you can find in a forest. Well, a fancy wild game lunch today. Some store-bought string cheese, a little bit of cheap store-bought summer sausage, sliced with my pocket knife on a piece of cardboard that I found in the back of the truck. Can't compare to venison summer sausage, but we'll give it a try. Not bad. Flavor's good. The texture's sort of mushy. It's sort of like eating a meat sponge. I'm hungry. I'll eat it. Anyone who knows me knows that I'll eat pretty much anything. I didn't find any oaks that were producing acorns, but I did find several pretty good trails, especially ones that intersect the creek. Almost always game trails along any sort of stream, and sure enough there's a good trail that parallels the creek, and then a few trails that intersect it. And so I marked those spots for potential ground blinds or tree stands. I'll have a little lunch now, scout a little bit more, and then probably need to head home. It's October 11th. Finally have a day where I've got plenty of time to get out and enjoy the woods and do a little bow hunting back in my old stomping grounds in Moshannon State Forest, northern part of Center County, Pennsylvania. And I guess I just took my pants off on camera. I'm guessing you can only see me from about the neck up. I hope so, because I'm in my underwear. Hang tight. I got pants right here. I did shoot a pronghorn one time on the prairie in Wyoming with no pants on. It was so hot I took my pants off. And of course, just about the time I took my pants off, a little pronghorn buck came in. It was the last day of the hunt. I couldn't resist. Of course, on that hunt, there was no one to see me but my dad and the pronghorn. On YouTube, there's a lot more people to see me. You never know how it'll go. I've written about this in a couple of different books and articles, but bow hunting has a really high failure rate. More often than not, you don't even see anything, depending on, you know, the quality of the place you're hunting. I sort of think that's what brings people back. You keep failing and failing and failing, but you know, you get just a smidge of a hint that success is going to happen, and so you keep coming back and trying it again, again, and again. And that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to try it again. So this is what I was hoping for. Get back in along the edges of these bogs. There's a lot of Crataegus, and it's been a pretty good year for acorns and also soft mast like apples and crab apples. And you can see some growing right here. And then if you look behind me, I wouldn't say they're a favorite food of deer, but they do like them. So what I'm going to do, I was hoping I would find this on the edge of the wetland. So I'm going to head back in a little further. And there's another wetland where I know they like to bed. So I'm going to try to position myself in between the bedding wetland and the one I'm in now, to try to catch them coming to food this evening. So this is the problem with hunting this place. You get back in here and it's just these big pockets of thick rhododendron. It's almost impossible to get through, especially if you're trying to be quiet. Well, this isn't easy, but the good news is there's deer sign back in here. I should break out of this rhododendron thicket where I can set up. This is sure not what I would call a clean entry, though. I think I'm almost out. If I haven't scared everything in here away and gotten so sweated that I smell like a wet dog, I should be in good shape. Well, that was a slog. Left the truck at 3. It's now 5. And I just finished getting set up. Unfortunately, I did not have a super smooth entry, but I've got a good spot here. It's basically a finger of high ground between two wetlands. I've got a creek, little small creeks on both sides of me. And it's just a somewhat open stand of hemlocks in here. I'll show it to you. This place is full of deer trails that crisscross from various wetlands out to places where deer feed. There's a big oak flat out this way. But to be honest, there's not a whole lot of sign coming in here. You can see the trails, which I've known about for years, but there wasn't a lot of fresh tracks on them, some. And I did find one rub. We'll just see what happens. We've got, about 2 hours to sit before we'll have to get down and hoof it back to the truck. Well, good morning. It's a rainy Saturday morning here in the Pennsylvania wilds. I hunted here on our new property yesterday, both morning and afternoon. I ended up seeing 3 deer, but they winded at me before I was able to get a shot. It started raining sometime in the middle of the night, I think early this morning. And so today is not a good day for hunting. Bow hunting in the rain is never a smart idea, but it is a great day for scouting. And since we've only owned this property a short amount of time, I haven't scouted it like I'd really like to. And so I'm going to take a couple of hours this morning in the rain and just start trudging out through here. I mean, I've already looked around quite a bit. On our land, at least, we have 42 acres. But there's literally thousands of acres of state land that border our land. And one of the places I hunted yesterday in the morning, the deer were coming from the state land. So I'm going to get up in there this morning and check it out and see what's going on. going in light this morning. Often I'll carry binoculars, a camera, all sorts of things, but I just don't want to deal with all that in the rain. And so my plan this morning is to cover a lot of ground in a short amount of time. Going light and going fast. We haven't had any breakfast yet, but if you've been following us and our adventures here on this new piece of land, you know that there's always plenty of tea berries for breakfast. I don't think I've ever seen a piece of property or anywhere with so many tea berries. I mean, you can literally pick handsfuls everywhere you look. There's a tea berry. And I love them, so it's a good thing for me. I didn't really explain why rainy days are great for scouting. Our channel is not designed necessarily for hardcore hunters, but for families who love the outdoors and foraging and wild food and just wild adventures in nature. Most hardcore hunters already know this information, but scouting during the rain is great because, as you can hear, it helps to cover the sounds that you make. It deadens your footfalls, and the rain washes away your scent, especially with something like white-tailed deer. Leaving a web of scent trails from all the places you've been scouting is never a good idea. Alerts deer right away that there's a lot of human traffic there. But if you've got, got this rain coming down, and it's supposed to rain all day today, it's going to wash away my scent. It's going to keep my noise down. So it's a great day for me to move quickly in the woods and try to discover new areas. So here's the kind of thing I'm looking for on a rainy morning like this. We've got a scrape right here. A few leaves in it, but it's fairly fresh. Got an overhanging licking branch right there. And we're on a trail. Here, I don't know if you can see this, but we're on a trail that runs around the rim of this bowl that's actually down on our property. I'm up on the state land now. So this has three elements. It has some structure, some topography that's funneling deer movement. They want to come around the top of the bowl and not go down in it. So there's a trail here. We've got a scrape. Got a good white oak behind for a stand. So this is a pretty good find. I'd love to be able to find a spot with some food like this, mainly acorns, but a lot of oak in here, but it just doesn't seem like they're producing acorns this year. So, all right, as you can tell, it's raining pretty hard. I'm going to keep going. This is why helium balloons, mylar, rubber, latex, whatever you want to call them, are not a good idea. They're up on a mountain in the middle of nowhere. And there are two balloons there that have landed. Sure, some poor little girl lost these at her birthday party, and now they've landed on a mountaintop to create pollution and a potential wildlife hazard in a place they certainly shouldn't be. I don't mean to be a curmudgeon. I mean, kids should be able to have fun. I just don't think that these helium-filled balloons are a good idea. I can't tell you over my lifetime how many of these things I've found out in the woods. I'll pop some holes in these. They still have a little bit of helium in them, or just air probably, so that I can get them in my pockets and we'll get them out of here. The best places for wildlife movement and for deer hunting, or I should say the most consistent places, are spots that follow topographic structure. Draws, ridges, ravines, things that funnel wildlife movement, that funnel deer movement. And I just found a good spot over here. I marked it on my Onyx map. I walked about 10 feet and discovered this. Someone else, decades and decades ago, also found this was a good spot. And they built a homemade tree stand in this big white oak. And you can see the remnants of the boards that are up there. And what I find really interesting is that they used railroad spikes as their tree steps to get up. If you look, probably hard to see on the video, but there are railroad spikes all the way up this tree to that old broken down wooden platform. And you can see some of the spikes are still sticking out, but the tree has grown over many of them. An added piece of history here, we're not too far from the town of Renova, and Renova was built around the railroad industry. Railroad cars used to be built here, so there's a long history of, railroad workers being in this area. And I'm guessing that this is some old timer who worked in the mill down in Renova, building railroad cars or maybe working on the track somewhere. And he was able to walk out each day with a few railroad spikes in his lunchbox, and he put them to good use. Anyway, pretty cool. I love finding these old stands, and you know, maybe he knew something, and you know, it seems like a pretty good spot. Whew. Well, that's about it. Been scouting for deer for the last 2.5 hours in the rain. Found some good spots for me to set up with a recurve bow, and I found some other spots where I'm going to try to build some ground blinds to get the kids in. It's hard for kids to sit in tree stands, but a ground blind works a whole lot better. It can be a, you know, a natural, like a brush blind, or you can put up like a tent style blind. We'll probably do both. Found a few good spots. So that's all for now. All right. I'm up here on our new property today, and as it seems is often the case lately, it's raining again. It's not a terrible thing. We need the rain, and rain makes it good for me to be able to scout. When you're hunting with a recurve or a longbow like I do, you have to get close. And so the scouting can't be just sort of slapdash. You really have to know where to set up. I mean, if you're literally 5 yards too far, you don't have a shot. It has to be that precise. And so I just found a spot where deer are moving down to drink, I think, in the evening. And there's 3 or 4 scrapes there. The trail looks heavily used. And it's a good spot, I think, to set up a ground blind. I don't love pop-up ground blinds. Prefer to make a brush blind, but I don't have time to do it now. It's going to make a lot of disturbance to go in there and cut. And so I'm just going to set up a pop-up blind, and it'll be a great place for me to bring Rex and Leela. And it'll also be a good place for me to set up and use the video camera to try to get some footage of me hunting. Right now, I'm going in, and I've been scouting pretty much all morning, so I'm soaked. I'm soaked almost from the waist down from walking through this blueberry brush, and yuck, pretty sure that was just a tick on the side of my face. I had one earlier. Ticks drive me crazy. Now I feel like I have ticks crawling all over me. I hate ticks. I don't hate ticks. I mean, every living thing has a purpose in our ecosystems. Ticks have their role, but I got an embedded tick a few years ago and got sick with anaplasmosis, and felt like I nearly died from it. I mean, it was really bad, and so I need to be more diligent about ticks. Certainly they give just about anybody the heebie-jeebies when they're crawling on you. They get in my beard, and I don't like that. Ticks in your beard is bad. Ticks in your beard, no way. Ticks in your beard will make you scared. The property has this cool little bowl. It's basically the head of a wetland. It's like a rim all the way around. Oh, shoot. Ugh. I forgot a hammer. Well, I'll get this thing set up, and then I'll just have to run back to the truck and grab a hammer. Right here is where we're going to put the ground blind. Little open spot right here, and then we'll have this deadfall top right here for a little bit of cover for the blind, and I'll stack some more stuff in to sort of brush it in. There's a good trail coming off the mountain with a number of scrapes. Alright, we've got our pop-up blind set up and mostly brushed in. I like to brush them in a little better, but I have a tremendous amount of material, at least that I wanted to cut. But here it is. You can see the nylon pop-up blind underneath there, and all the material I put around it. Those little triangles there, those are the shooting ports. We'll walk around a little bit. I'll show you the other side. This is sort of the back of the blind here. This zipper is the entrance. Go in there and take a quick look. Voila! There's the blind. And right here is where I expect deer to come through And you can see I haven't left myself a lot of room to shoot, but once I'm in the blind and set up, I'll use some pruners just to trim out little lanes for me to be able to shoot through. The more cover, the better. This is looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. And then if we come around for 180 here, this is the back wall. There's no shooting windows there. There's the door we just came in. And then this side has a set of shooting windows, but I don't expect deer to come from there, so I'm keeping that one closed. And when I leave the blind today, I'm going to leave those windows open because that's how it'll be when deer come through, when I'm hunting in it. And so I want them to get used to seeing it as it is right now with those windows open. All right, I'll take you around now and show you the front of the blind so you can see what it would look like from a deer's perspective. I'm imagining the deer coming from this region right here. And so their perspective is going to be this. Certainly you can still see that there's something there. You're never going to hide it entirely. And there's always going to be a bunch of scent involved with it. But the hope is with a blind like this that you get it set up early, which we didn't really, but doing the best we can. Setting it up in the rain, which is a huge help because this will help cover our scent. But we get it set up. We let deer get used to it. I probably won't hunt this for at least a week. I'm just going to leave it sit here, and hopefully deer will get used to things, and then we'll go from there. Also, there's some bear sign right over here, and the bear archery season opens, either open today or it opens tomorrow. So it's might be a good spot to kill a bear. Well, good morning, everyone. It's a very warm fall morning here. It's late October. I'm in this pop-up ground blind that I set up about a week ago. Getting things set up in here. It's just starting to break a tiny bit of daylight right now. All right, I'm gonna get set up. I say I'm gonna get set up, but there's not much to do. Set up my stool and set up the other camera, and I'm ready to go. I'm a guy who usually hunts out of a climbing tree stand, moving around a lot, and a lot to set up and a lot to think about. But with a pop-up ground blind already set up, you just need to dive in and wait. So that's what we'll do. We'll wait. All right, we're going for broke tonight. I've been pounding our new land pretty hard these past few days, mostly hunting a creek bottom, having no luck. Lots of deer sign in there. Got a trail camera out. I know there's good bucks in there every night, just no daytime deer movement. I need to get closer to the bedroom. I need to get closer to the bedding area. The property sits along some steep side hills that lead down to a creek. One of those side hills has a leeward wind. That's a place where deer like to bed because they can bed down over where they don't get a lot of disturbance. If something approaches from the top, they can wind it because they've got that wind sucking down to them on the leeward side. I was up there once when we first bought the property. I saw a lot of good deer sign. It's actually not on our property. It's on the state land that borders our property. It's a pretty good hike. 1 o'clock in the afternoon now. I'm going to set out and get out there and see if I can get in a tree. I'll be checking sign as I go. If there's no fresh sign up in there, I should have enough time to double back, go back down into the creek bottom or somewhere else. You know, it's always a roll of the dice on these things. Or I'll just, if there's no sign, I'll just stay and hope I'm reading the topography and the structure right. So, well, some good sign already. I haven't gone very far, and I just ran into this. That's not a bad sign at all. Always very cautious about spreading scent in my hunting area. This is a rut in a skidder trail. I like to do anything I can to keep the scent off or reduced on my boots. So if I cross water, I just wiggle them around in there a little bit. The thing I like to do most is if I come along come along a pile of deer poop. Rub your feet really well in that. It can help. I don't know if any of this does anything, but I've been doing it for 25 years and I'm not going to stop now. Maybe it's superstition. Maybe it's science. I don't know. Whatever it is, I sure have shot a lot of deer, so maybe it does something. All right, I'm about halfway to where I plan to hunt along this side hill. It's been a long walk back in here. Getting to the steep parts, and I don't know if you can see it here, but about every 150 yards, right on sort of the lip of the side hill, there's a big rub. There's at least one buck, a good buck. I'm using this as a travel corridor right along this lip, which is not uncommon. Also, bucks tend to make rubs on their trails on the way back to bed. So when I see a rub that's leading toward a really thick area or a steep slope, like in this case, often an indication that that's where the buck is going to bed. There must be better ways to get in here than what I'm doing right now, because I feel like I'm sort of boogering up the trails that these deer might use, but I don't know this place well enough yet, so doing the best I can. Just got to get back in here and hope my scent trail isn't a problem. I've reached the point of the ridge and the side hills that I want to hunt. I've got a bit of a dilemma. The wind is coming from the west-southwest, and so I sort of want to face into the west or be on the west side of the trail. But if I do that, I'm going to have the setting sun in my eyes, even up in a tree, and the sun is already an issue when I try to look in that direction, so that's going to be no good. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to do this so I don't have the sun in my eyes, but I've got the wind in my favor. So I'm going to have to sort of get in a kind of a quartering to wind position and hope that I can get away with it. Here's what we're looking at. I'm going to give it a go. All right. Well, after a long hoof, I'm finally in position on the point of this ridge. I've got basically steep side hills on three sides of me. It's like a big tongue of high ground coming down that then drops off to two different creek bottoms. Now we just wait, keep our fingers crossed. It's been a rough season. Need a little bit of luck. Well, it's happened again. Darkness comes on another unsuccessful hunt here in the Pennsylvania mountains. I'm so frustrated. I know there are deer here. So rubs and scrapes all the way in here. Get pictures on my trail camera at night. Just no movement during the day. Thought if I got back in here closer to where I think they're bedding, I might catch some movement during daylight hours, but at least for tonight that didn't work. I got a long hoof out of here, so I'm going to pack up a little earlier than I usually do and get down the trail. Guess that's night-night for now. All right, it's the second day of rifle season here in Pennsylvania. We're at our land. From what I can tell, hunting pressure hasn't been too great. There's some guys at some of the cabins around, but deer seem to still be pretty relatively undisturbed, which means we can still get after them with a bow a little bit. So it's about 1:30 in the afternoon. It's pretty cool. It's only in the high 30s. We've got a light south wind. All right, let's go get after it. About 4:30 on the second day of buck season. I just climbed down out of my tree. I had 5 does come through, and I was waiting. I know there's several good bucks in here, and a buck buck finally came in at the end, and I think I made a real good shot. He disappeared along the spine of this ridge, but I'm pretty sure I heard him crash. Whew, yes, finally. Finally, I've been trying to figure these deer out for so long. Whew. Okay, I'm gonna give it a few minutes, and then we're gonna go and get on the blood trail and see if we can find this deer. I don't think he went far. Oh, I'm cold and have an adrenaline buzz. It's been about 30 minutes, not quite 20 minutes, since I shot that deer. Looks like a pretty good buck. Made a good hit. It's starting to get dark, and I'm pretty sure I heard him crash over here by some of these down trees. So I often tell people not to abandon a blood trail, but in this case, with it getting dark so quickly and being almost certain that I heard this deer crash, I think I'm just going to walk straight to that spot. Sort of casually looking for blood here as I go. Came along through here and then angled up the ridge. I saw him sort of go close to those blowdowns, but never saw him come out. I'm pretty sure I heard him crash. Really big body deer. Oh boy, I've been hunting so hard. Oh, there he is. There he is. Just thinking he's got to be laying right up here somewhere. There he is. I can see his antler hanging up there. There he is, right there. Holy cow! Yes, yes, yes. There he is. He's piled up right there. I knew it. All those blowdowns right there. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh, what a deer. Wow. Look at the body on that thing. Boy, I'm lucky. Pennsylvania deer need to have 3 points to a side. I just barely made a brow tine right there. But still, a beautiful buck. Pretty sure a 3-year-old deer. Look at that. All the work that goes into this. So hard to get close with a traditional bow. Whew. And to do it during gun season yet. Wow. What a beaut. Thank you, dear. Thank you for the exchange of energy. Thank you for the food you'll provide to our family. Oh, I truly treasure these moments. Wow. I'm really happy. I'm tickled. Well, it might be too dark to do any more filming, but whew, now the work starts. Gotta get this thing field dressed and get it out of here. It's getting dark fast. Woohoo! God, so happy. Well, sometimes life is strange. It's been almost 3 hours since I shot this buck. I got it field dressed. That was the easy part. And then I had to drag it out of there. Drag was easier than I thought it was going to be, but it still took a long time. Fortunately, most of it was either downhill or level. And now I'm out to the driveway that leads up to where our camper is parked on our land, and that part is all uphill. And I don't have my truck. I left the truck for Debbie and the kids, and I borrowed my mom's car. Well, my mom's car is an old Pontiac G6 retractable hardtop. Not exactly the kind of thing you can just throw a deer in, but I'm hoping it's got enough steam to pull this big old buck up the driveway. I've got it tied off right here. I've got knot tied around the buck's antlers and tied onto the latch. And now I gotta pull it up the driveway and hope that that little pin right there doesn't break out. Well, Mama Cass is not going to be too happy. All right, here we go. It's the last leg of our haul here. I don't have any way to get this thing home either. Not in this baby. I mean, I could throw it in that trunk, I guess, but oh boy, that would really make Mama Cass unhappy. Old bloody thing in her retractable hardtop. So I've got it field dressed already. It's gonna be cold tonight, down in the 20s. So I'm gonna put the buck in the garage portion of our toy hauler camper, And then I guess I have to have Debbie come tomorrow with our pickup, and we'll get it taken care of. Oh, life is fun. Well, I just pulled into Dollar General. I've got Mama Cass's car here, and Debbie's gonna come up and meet me there, and we're gonna go get this deer. It's, you know, overnight in the camper there. So I can't wait for it to arrive. I can't wait to get the kids out there and see the buck I shot last night. Uh-oh, that might be her coming right there. It's a clandestine meeting at the Dollar General. There they are. Oh, he's making a squeaky sound in that truck.
Oh, you need some help?
This is my deer's ride right here. And look at that guy. And these two.
Hey, no, 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 no!
Oh my gosh, look at this katana sword. Oh man, Rex made this beautiful sword out of a piece of cherry wood. Look at it.
It's walnut.
It's walnut. Well, all right, correction. It's a piece of black walnut. Really nice. Wow, it came out great.
Oh, I love you. Buck recovery. Shouldn't be too hard to track this then. All right, we're here at our land. Ron shot a big-bodied buck last night. Not so much in the antler department.
I was just going to say big-bodied usually means it's got scrawny antlers.
Drum roll. All right, let's see.
We're gonna have to cut it down.
There it
There
is.
he is. Well, he stayed in there the night. Pennsylvania, you need to have a minimum of 3 points on one side. And this guy just makes it as sort of an unusual deer in that he only has 5 points, but it's a 3-year-old buck.
There it is. There's the
Big body.
5th point right there.
One nub there just to make it.
We have to be over.
All right, well, here we are. It's the next day. Yesterday afternoon, which was the second day of the Pennsylvania buck season, I was able to shoot this beautiful buck. It was a great experience. I've been hunting so hard here on our new piece of property, and there was a really big buck around that I'd been chasing all season, and I just couldn't catch up with him. And this deer offered a great shot last night. About 4:20 in the afternoon, 5 does came down the ridge, and I thought, oh no, there's got to be a buck in there. And sure enough, just a minute or two behind the 5 does, this buck was coming along the top of the ridge. And like I said, he offered me a great shot. Hunting with a recurve is always challenging. This was just inside of a 20-yard shot. I knew it was a good hit. He went just a short distance, and I was able to recover him. So we're so thankful to be able to hunt the way we do here in Pennsylvania and other places across the country, and really thankful for the meat that this deer will provide for our family. We haven't had venison in our freezer for quite a while. We were on the road last year during deer season, and so I didn't get a whitetail for the first time in, I don't know, probably at least a decade, if not more. So it was really nice to be able to take this buck last night. Now we need to get him in the truck and get him processed. It's been a good day. Good yesterday and a good day today. All right. Debbie always says I get really awkward, so I'm going to go like this.
He gets so awkward. All right, let's load it up. Get those kids.
We're going to cut a Christmas tree while we're here.
We're cutting a Christmas tree. Little white pine. Easy peasy.
Easy, easy. Right.
There they go. They're gonna have it cut before we even get there.
I think you guys did a pretty good job. I like that tree.
Woo! Christmas tree! People make living on it.
Almost, almost, almost. Timber!
Wow!